All right, in case you didn't actually read the title, this is going to be a palette bingo. Before I get into that, I am going to ask you to please do all of the things, and you know what they are. So, every month, my girls, Erica, Ashley, and Amy, Melissa, decide that they want to do a palette bingo, and they take turns picking the palette. And I don't remember whose turn it was, but for this month, they decided to do the Glamlight and Michaela Pot 2. This happens to be one that I have, so of course I said, hey, I'll join in with you guys. With this, you have got a sheet protector, a 30 shade palette here, all yummy colors, and you know I love my Glamlight. So we're going to randomly generate, give you some swatches, and then we're going to do these eyes up, and I will zoom in for that so you can see what I'm doing. Amy and Erica are both linked in the description box. I'm going to give you a music moment at the end. That's going to be in there. But for now, let's start with the random generation, and then we will move on to the me making a fool of myself part. Oh, no, no, wait. That's every part. Oh, yeah. All right. So for this, we're going to be generating 5 numbers. I did download a random generation app on my phone, so let's see what it does. I've got 1 through 30 with no repeats. So, all right. We got 12. I should be writing these down. I'm telling you, if I were actually on top of things, you guys would be shocked. Okay, 12, 19, 3, 22, and an ad. I think that was 7. Hold on. I should have done this with no ads. Okay, 7 is our last number. You know, whatever. Okay, so let's see what those are. So 12 is going to be Beauty Kills. And that looks like it's going to be an olivey shade. Well, let's find out. Oh, yeah, that's a deep olive. Okay. So far. 19 is going to be The Market. It's kind of a teal. Oh, that looks nice and dark too. All right. This is going to be an interesting look. Yeah, that's kind of a teal. It's kind of a bluish green. And then for 3, we have got this silvery one, Poppin'. Oh, that's pretty. I haven't used that. It's kind of a white, silvery. All right. And then 22 is Mimu. So we've got a nice dark purple. These are all really dark shades. It's going to be interesting. And then 7 is this gold shimmer here, and that is called Glitter. All right, that is what, oh, yeah, that's gold. I don't know if you can see that. I will get a swatch of my, or a photo of my hand with the swatches in my bathroom so that I can make sure that you guys get a really good view of it. But for now, I'm going to pause you guys, zoom in, and we'll get going. Okay, so that took me a lot longer than what you guys experienced, thank goodness. But I am back. We are zoomed in. I haven't prepped yet, but that's okay. We will get to that. I don't have the lighting on. I just have my overhead, and then it's daylight, so natural lighting behind me. But I thought you guys might get a better idea of how things look when I'm doing this without having that light, because it does wash everything out. And let's see who all was paying attention and caught it. When I was showing you the shades, for some reason, I said 19, I meant 19, and then I picked 17. This right here is 19, so the picture you saw too is also inaccurate, and that is the shade Mama Wang. So we'll be using the correct shades, but I don't know what the heck I was doing. Who knows with me. So first things first, we're going to prep. I have got my NARS concealer, and you know that's how I do the first layer of my eye base. And Man, maybe I should have lights on. It's hard for me to see even. I have much better lighting in my bathroom. That's why you guys always get bathroom pictures from me with swatches and things like that. Well, when I remember, not always, but I do try and do them in there because I have better lighting and I can see better. So we'll see how this works out, if I can even see what I'm doing. But so first layer, and then I've been using a really old NARS concealer that was the completely wrong shade for me, and that is finally empty. You guys will be seeing it in my empties. So I grabbed this, oh, what is this? This is an ABH concealer, and this is one that like everybody raved about. I tried it yesterday and wasn't impressed, so we'll see. Or not a, it's not a concealer, you guys, it's an eye primer. So we'll see how this works today, because I think this is super flippin' watery. And so I don't know if it was the primer or if it was the fact that it was 8 bajillion degrees and I was out in the yard, walking the yard, cleaning it up with the doggy stuff. Yeah, I was picking up dog poop. And it was so hot that I actually had sweat running into my eyes, and then my eyeshadow all did crease, even though I had set it. Now, I didn't bring in the powder to set today, but I'm going to use Mama Wang because that is the lightest of the shades that I got. That is a matte. And I brought in my gigantic Hershey's Cup O brushes. I'm flipping stuff all over the place. So we're just going to take a fluffy, this is an old Morphe fluffy brush, and we're going to use that. Ooh, that's got some good color to set. So it might end up being a little bit wild, but all right, I can live with that. It's my kind of color, so I'm cool with it. But yeah, I'm not sure if I like this eye primer, you guys. We're going to have to see. And honestly, I'm the kind of person that if I really don't like it and I don't think it's something that should be, like, if I can't, there's things that I don't necessarily care for, but that I know that'll work for other people. And so then I'll pass them along. But with this, I don't know how long I've had this or how old it is. So if it's just that it's so watery because it's breaking down, and if I keep getting creases and don't want to use it and can't finish it, I'll declutter it in the sense that I'll actually have to just throw it away, because I don't want to give somebody else something that's so old that it's bad. So we'll see how it works. Okay, that does not look nearly as pink as, okay, well, yeah, it's very, very much a pinkish purple. And I'm going heavy-handed with it because, truthfully, I love this color. And normally this is something that I would have, like, thrown into the transition, but I like it for all over. It's not too crazy. All right, so that's what we're starting with. Where are my numbers? All right. Then I'm actually going to take, this is an old e.l.f. brush, and it's just a really small, flat, dense, solid brush, and I'm going to take Beauty Kills, that olive shade, and tap it into the corner. Okay. All right, that'll work. That'll work. And now I, of course, as most people do, have the pleasure of having my eyes be slightly different, because it would just be too easy if everything were the same. All right. Sloppy, not loving it, but, you know, could be worse. Could be worse. And now, okay, so do you guys see how creasy I am? Because I have the lack of skin elasticity from the EDS. And yes, I did just manage to slop on my face. Yay, me. If I'm not getting makeup on me somewhere, you know, that isn't supposed to be where it's going, I'm just not doing things right. All right, so that would be 19. Okay, and then we have Mimu is the other matte. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, what is this? This is some old, it's the blendable brush or something. It's an old BH brush, just kind of fluffy, somewhat dense. And I'm going to take Mimu, and we're going to actually put that in the crease. See how we get, do you see all the skippy in here? Maybe you can't tell, maybe you can. Got to kind of fix that a little bit because it does skip when we get it to the outer part because I have so much extra skin. You see all that in there? So yeah, that's what makes my life pleasant. And I've told you guys before, I'm not really big on blending, but I do at least try and get it somewhat, you know, fluid. I guess that would be the best word for it. I don't know. So this is kind of, although not normally the way I would do this, well, maybe I would. I don't know. But this is kind of what I normally do. I don't normally do a transition and a crease. I will occasionally, especially if I'm working with different colors. But I just kind of thought this takes that place and works for both. Kind of does double duty, so I don't have to have a different shade. All right, so you kind of see what we got going on there. We got that deepened outer corner, and sometimes I'll do the outer corner after I do the other part, but sometimes it's easier to blend my edge that way. So, of course, we always get a little under because I'm talented. Okay, so that means I have got Poppin' and Glitter left. Yeah, that's 3 shades. So let's see. You know, I'm actually going to do this probably the opposite way that you would think that I would. I'm going to take, what is this one? And I've got all kinds of old Morphe brushes and they just seem to be handy. So I'm taking kind of a flat brush and I'm going to actually do Poppin'. And I am going to just take this little cheap bottle of spray. What is this one? It's an old Garnier spray that I have sitting around. And I'm going to spray the brush. And I'm going to tap that on in the center. I know, not what you would think I would be doing normally. I may have gotten that a little bit too wet. I've noticed that glitter glue sometimes, and if I get the brush too wet, will kind of jack things up for me a little bit, where then it will cause creasing. So kind of need to make sure that I pay attention to what I'm doing, especially when I get towards that crease area so that it doesn't just stick in there. Ooh, that shows up on camera. Holy macaroni. All right, let's see what we can do with the other eye. I'm going to try spraying it just once. My aim is generally crap, which is why you get 2 sprays a lot of times from me. I got skills, people. I got skills. And this is why I do YouTube, because I'm so talented. And yes, I did not get all of the brush, and so I'm getting fallout everywhere because, like I said, skills, talented. But this color is really fun. Okay. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think? I'm digging it. And it just gives a little bit of sparkle as it gets up into that crease and then transition area. And it's not like I'm being neat with this for any reason. I'm, you know, just going ahead and doing what I want to do. I'm going to take a tiny pencil brush, and this one is actually a Refer 23. I do like the Refer brushes. I'm going into glitter with that, and we're going to inner corner it. Now, I don't know if you guys can tell. Oh yes, we must make the weird makeup faces while we do these things. This doesn't seem to have as much of a, well, maybe it has a little bit of a base. Not a ton. And I'm going to pull that right in there too. So it doesn't really look tremendously different, because you would think that when I did the swatch how heavy gold that was, but probably because I'm using such a little brush and such a little amount. There we got some. That's what I wanted to see it do. Okay. I don't know if you guys can really tell. Now, what I'm going to do is turn the lights back on. So, yeah, you can see the gold in the corner, the inner corner that you can't really on that eye, but you can on that eye. I can see it when I'm looking in my mirror. So, that is actually all 5 of my shades. But for funsies, since we're here, why not? Okay, this is, what is this? I don't know what this is. What the heck does that say? Gracious. Shade cut. No. Shade out. I don't know what that means, and I don't know what brand this is. But I'm going to just take this little flat brush here, and I'm going to go into the Mock It, because I thought that was the color that I was supposed to be using, even though it wasn't. So just for fun, we're going to run it along the lower lash line. Just because, why not? The girl said I didn't have to do 6 shades, but since I screwed up, and yeah, it's a shimmer, but you know, it still looks good. Thank goodness this didn't come out too crazy, because I'm going to actually film some other videos that you're probably going to have seen before you see this one. And I'm not one who does a lot of eyeshadow underneath. I normally do a regular liner, but I think this works pretty well. So we used all 6 anyway. All right, now I'm going to cut us off again, get back to like not in my face, and put all this crap away so that I can actually talk to you. I'm going to finish off with, I am going to throw some liner on the upper lash line. And I don't know if you could tell before I put any makeup on that I do have some tattooed eyeliner. It's just kind of faint, and obviously you can't see it once I start putting things over it. But I'm going to go put some more on and some mascara, and I'll pick a lipstick. I'm just wearing, right now, what am I wearing? I'm working on finishing off this Milani. This is one of the Fruit Fetish lip oils. It's strawberry melon. Oh, so good. I've already taken the stopper out of it because honestly, I just love this stuff, and I'm almost out of it. But that's okay. That's okay. I know I like it, so I know that'll go on the repurchase list, just as an extra added bonus for you. All right, I will be back momentarily. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you put on just a little bit of eyeliner on the top lashes and some mascara. And then I just grabbed the Estee Lauder Illuminating Shine lipstick in Pampered. So not anything dramatic or anything like that, but that's what we've got. So that is what we've got from this month's palette bingo with the Michaela palette, the Glamlite Michaela palette. And like I said, aside from my screw up with this shade, which should have actually been this shade, so I used them both, that was what I had, and you've seen the color story. So I want to thank my girls, first of all, for letting me do this with them, as always. And then we're going to move on to the music moment. So for this one, this song just played the other day, and so I'm like, oh, I want to do that. Not for any particular reason, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the Knack. And I will talk a little bit about My Sharona, but the song that I actually want to focus in on is Good Girls Don't. And most people think the Knack was a one-hit wonder with My Sharona. What they don't realize is that the follow-up single is Good Girls Don't, and it is off of the same album. Now, the Knack formed in 1978. Their first album is called Get the Knack, and that was 1979. And My Sharona became a huge, huge hit for them. Does it say how long it was on the charts? Became the #1 song of 1979. So that's kind of impressive for My Sharona. But Good Girls Don't actually peaked at number 11 in the US and hit #1 in Canada. So this was also a huge hit for the band. But because it was so long ago now, the song you're probably going to hear if you hear something on the radio is going to be My Sharona. So let's just talk for a second about the history of this from my perspective. My dad worked in the music business. My dad used to go to a lot of concerts, and they did a lot of backstage stuff. He didn't drive. My mother went with him. Now, I talk a lot about my mom. You know, I absolutely adore my mom. My mom is sweet as pie and doesn't say bad things about people and doesn't swear. To this day, if you talk about Sharona, who was a real person, to my mother, her only response is, oh, she was a bitch. Now, my mom's never even said that about a female dog, let alone another woman in my hearing. So, kind of impressive. I'm assuming that at some point, hopefully, Sharona grew up a little bit. The deal with that, the lead singer, Doug, and I can't pronounce his last name properly, so I'm not going to try. had seen her and literally kind of just like fell in love at first sight and then went on this like writing spree. They were thinking about not using her real name, but he insisted on it because it really was all for her. And so that is how the song My Sharona came about. Now, they did end up getting together. They were together for 4 years. They never did get married. Doug passed away. I think he had cancer in 2010. And they were friends until the end. And they were still in communication, everything like that, even though the relationship didn't work out quite the way that maybe he had hoped it would in the beginning. When they met, she was 17, he was 25. All right. The thing with this, okay, so yes, she was underage, not by a ton, and it's not the world's biggest age span, but still. So one of the things that you will notice, there's a bunch of things that the band has been criticized for. What they wanted to do was kind of give that British invasion type of feeling and joy, although they were actually formed in California. Doug was from Detroit, like a suburb of Detroit. Sorry, he was, I think, Oak Park or something. But he was from a suburb of Detroit, moved to LA, met a couple of the other guys. He had known one of them. They formed the band 78. Get the Knack came out 79. My Sharona took off. They were together. They broke up. They had a couple follow-up albums that didn't do real well. They got back together, did a fourth studio album, broke up again, got back together again, broke up again. When Doug passed away, that was the end of the Knack. That they just decided that was it. They were never going to do that again because once he was gone, because he was like really one of their prolific songwriters. He was their lead singer. He kind of was the front man for all of this. So without him, the band just wouldn't be the same thing. Now, one of the things that I kind of noticed, and I didn't catch it years ago when the song was popular, and I was pretty young when the song was popular, so let's not fault me too much on this one. The song is inappropriate as can be. And a lot of their stuff was. It really is, I hate to say pedophilic, but it kind of comes across that way. One of the lines in My Sharona is, I always get it up from the touch of a younger kind. The entire song, Good Girls Don't. And I'm going to give you the original lyric version. I did find a copy of it, and that's what I'm going to link in the description box. They changed it to have a more clean version, but it's basically from the perspective of a really early teens boy and his fascination with the opposite sex and that kind of burgeoning sexuality. And yeah, so a lot of their songs were kind of raunchy if you think about it. But musically, I love them. I never heard a bad thing about Doug. I'm not saying that he did do anything wrong. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that the time that a lot of this stuff was written, it kind of comes across as a little bit creepy. Let's just go with creepy. But the songs have stood the test of time and they're still popular. And like I said, this wasn't something that was completely inappropriate. She wasn't 12, and he wasn't 40. It wasn't anything like that. They did, and I don't know when she turned 18, but they did have a relationship thereafter. Yes, she was a few years younger than him, but not like a generation or anything like that. So I'm not saying anything bad about the band or about him. I'm just saying that if you like look back at the lyrics now, I don't know, maybe he had a frustrated adolescence and just got it all out in all these songs. I have no idea. So the fun thing about Good Girls Don't, and like I said, listen to the original lyrics and then go listen to another version. The clean version kind of changes things a little bit. And I honestly didn't realize there was a clean version because the one I have is the original, and that's the one I've always listened to, I guess. But he had shopped this song a couple of times and didn't really get a great response on it. So when they were recording Get the Knack, he didn't want to do it anymore. He was kind of burned out with the song. And I want to say it was the guy who was producing the album said, well, just do one take of it, just one take, and I won't make you do it again and whatever. That's the take that ended up on the album. It was a one take thing because they had already done this song so many times that it was not something there were mistakes or things like that. So what you're getting is really kind of like a one and done type of thing with that, which is pretty cool. But like I said, the song had been around for a little while here, and they were pretty familiar with the song. So at one point, the band actually had like a bidding war when they started doing some live stuff and started getting a lot of traction. There was a bidding war, and I want to say they signed with Capitol Records, and it ended up being, at that time, they had gotten the largest signing sum in the label's history. that's pretty darn impressive. Now, like I said, they actually did have a couple of hits after that first album, but they didn't do as well, and it did lead to the band breaking up, and like I said, they got back together, all that kind of stuff. And when Doug would do interviews about the music, there was like a 2 week span where he was just pumping everything out after meeting Sharona and was just writing all these songs. And so for him, he actually did kind of say, hey, this is the idea of an early adolescent male, and that's the viewpoint of the song. That's what it's intended to be. It isn't from the standpoint of an adult. So don't get it twisted by the different things that I've said about how creepy this comes across, because it was never, that especially wasn't intended to be that way. But the song is still pretty, it's not as graphic. Well, parts of it are. There are a couple lines that are a little bit graphic, but it's not as graphic as a lot of the stuff that came out. Like if we're going to go back and look at some of the rap stuff that was popular in the late 80s, early 90s, 2000s, even today, which I don't listen to really, there's way more graphic stuff out there. So this one is just kind of for giggles because I actually happen to really love the music of both of these songs. I don't know much of their other stuff as far as like their other songs. Let's see if I can tell you what else hit. Baby Talks Dirty. That was the lead single off of But the Little Girls Understand. Are you catching my theme here? And it was only in the top 40. It hit at 38 in the US, but it did hit 13 in Canada. So they had a little more success there. And then Can't Put a Price on Love missed the top 20 completely, or top 40 completely even. It peaked at 62. So like I said, at that point, they decided that they were, with touring and all that stuff, they were exhausted, and then the next album wasn't received as well. The next couple weren't. So they did take a break there, and then they did get back together. So grand total, we have got 6 regular studio albums spanning from 79 to 2001. But then there is also an album that was released in 2012, so it was after Doug had passed away. And it is Rock and Roll is Good for You, and it's demos of two of the lead singer, Doug, and another one of the guys, and that's what that's for. There have also been compilation albums and all kinds of other stuff. So they've been around. I don't really know anything off of any of their later stuff, and I don't even know that I even heard any of that ever. So we're going back to the original from Get the Knack. We're going to go back to 1979's. I'm pretty sure it's 1979. I should double check that before I say that, like, as a real thing. Good Lord. It would be smart if I had these things. I really did have these things in my head at one point. Okay. So yes, the single was a 1979 release. It did have the song Frustrated on the B-side when they released the 45 of it, and that was released in August of 79. Like I said, it was a follow-up to My Sharona. Did do very, very well. And a lot of their stuff has been, well, I don't know if Good Girls Don't has been covered as much. Yeah, it's mostly on their compilation stuff for Best Of. There's 2 different Best Of albums that came out. I think it's on both of those. My Sharona has obviously been covered in a whole bunch of stuff. And like I said, the band was getting a lot of crap. They were getting a lot of crap from their peers as well as critics with the whole, are we copying the Beatles? Are we copying the British invasion? Okay, no, you're misrepresenting what that 60s sound was to the public when we're trying to do something a little more authentic. So love them or hate them, that's who they were, and they just wanted things to be fun, happy, exciting, and simpler, I guess, although somewhat contemporary. That's kind of how I take the music. So that's what you're getting from me today. Thank you for sticking around with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for letting me babble about the Knack for like 20 minutes, because that was ridiculous. Until next time, everybody, see ya. Bye.